On location here today, couldn't be a nicer day. We're in Bristol, Indiana. Mark Linton here with me. And Mark, this is a beautiful landscape job today. We're going to be featuring a beautiful backdrop too, a home that was once formal that you've renovated now the landscaping into more of a rustic look.
Absolutely, and Craig, when the homeowners came to us, that was the challenge, that they had just purchased a home that's about 15, 20 years old would be my guess, and a very formal looking house, and their vision was to make it look rustic.
It does give you that mountaintop feel, doesn't it?
You know, the biggest compliment was just minutes before going on the air here, there was a delivery person coming up here, and she shared with me that she's been watching this evolve over the years, and she says, when I come here, she says, it feels like it's a mountain retreat. And I was like, you know, we nailed it.
That was part of the planning, though, with the homeowner, wasn't it?
It was. That was the vision and the goal.
Tell us some of those early steps and what exactly they were trying to relate to you in terms of what we see here.
Yeah, so if you look at the house behind us here, it just was a very formal, all brick home, and there was not a front porch where we're sitting.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's very original here. But so all of the existing landscape, it was tired, and there really wasn't anything that we could repurpose. And so designed this front porch and used a lot of natural type of materials. These are solid stone steps, and each one is unique, one of a kind. And oh my gosh, the weight of these, they're absolutely huge. It took a big piece of equipment to bring them in here. But that leads the guest up to this front porch, and we've continued that same look and feel all the way up to the front door.
What you've done here with the pathway leading up to the front porch is what I really like, Mark, because you know, the one mistake we all make as homeowners, we make things a little bit too narrow. You've really doubled that width, haven't you?
Well, thanks for noticing. Yes, the standard sidewalk width is typically around 3 feet. In fact, some older homes, you can find a 2-foot wide sidewalk, but what we have here is a 6-foot wide sidewalk, and this is a pretty good sized piece of property, and so everything's in proportion to the size of the property. So we've got a 6-foot wide sidewalk, and a little later we're going to share with the viewers how the sidewalk connects to the driveway, and it flares open even more. So the homeowner wanted it to be very warm and welcoming to the guests.
So you're open to looking at a flare, huh?
Absolutely.
You want to do that?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay.
Well, Mark, we talked about the flare. How many feet here at the very widest part of this sidewalk?
Well, we've got a 6-foot sidewalk, and yes, it flares out to 22 feet in width. And that makes it very warm and inviting to all of the guests here.
It's like open arms, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
Come and join us.
Yes.
That's the feel it gives.
That was the goal.
Now, you've done some really cool things here with this formal design that's gone rustic now, and one of them is the elevation over here.
Yeah, so one of our neat little tricks that we do is that we actually like to lead the guests through the landscape. And most landscapes you'll see in between the sidewalk and the house, but we created this bed on the other side of the sidewalk so that the guests get to experience the landscape on both sides.
You call it a trick, huh?
It is a little trick. It's one of my tricks. So, but we've changed the grade, the elevation here. We've got a large boulder retaining wall holding back an earth berm, and then we're featuring this beautiful white flowering dogwood tree that's presently in its glory right now.
I like your choice of ground cover here too, and you see it on both sides.
Yeah, this is something that's quite unique and unusual, and it's actually a man-made product, and it's called stone bark ground cover. It is a man-made product that looks like bark, but actually has the benefits of stone. So unlike bark that rots and breaks down and almost turns into dirt, it makes it low maintenance. You aren't having to replenish the bark.
Yeah.
And also we can use a good quality woven commercial grade of fabric we bury underneath it for our weed control.
And it does a pretty good job with that. Huh?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. And of course, I love the color, and what it does is blends well with the stone that you see here on the sidewalk.
It's my favorite. Honestly, I love the look.
I like it too.
Yeah. And your choice over here, very interesting.
Well, thank you. This is a beautiful specimen, Japanese bloodgood maple. Wanted to give it a nice focal point here. Features these red leaves all spring, summer, and fall. We have a lot of rare and unusual plants here in this landscape. You can see some little dwarf pine shrubs. These are dwarf white pines, and it's not a pine tree, it's a pine shrub, and those will stay below the base of those windows there.
You're always going to keep it beneath the base of the window,
Oh,
aren't
we
you?
don't, it's a beautiful house. We don't want to hide it.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. What's this?
This is a weeping white spruce. It's selected here because it's tall, more of a columnar type of shape. We don't want to hide, again, the stone columns that are behind here, but just simply accent the corner. I love the soft weeping branch structure that you see.
You know, we've heard the term chain gang before,
Yeah.
but tell me about this chain.
Well, we've got a couple of rain chains on each
Rain
end of
chains.
Yes, rain chains, and we've got a couple of them. And instead of a downspout coming off the gutters, you do a rain chain. And if you look closely down here, you'll see
Sure.
a grate, and we're collecting all that water. You come out here during a rainstorm and this puts on quite a show when you see that water going there and kind of a shimmering type of look. And then we've got the drains out to the front yard with pop-up emitters.
Yeah, that's classic. I like that. What's going on here?
This is very unusual evergreen. It's called a dwarf tiger tail spruce. And Craig, if you look closely, you can see blue needles in here along with
Sure.
chartreuse green needles. And something that's even more incredible, in about several more weeks, these are going to be little pine cones that emerge, and they are iridescent in color. They are the most beautiful pine cones I've ever seen. But this is a little spruce that actually is horizontal in growth. It'll never get real large. And again, we aren't wanting to hide the stone patio that's behind there.
Yeah. And again, another selection here with the boulders, right?
Oh my goodness, we've got a lot of boulders here, and that's something that David really appreciates. And he got pretty involved with selecting boulders. Actually, he got out there and hand selected the boulders.
And there's quite a variety to choose from too, even here locally.
Oh
right?
my goodness, these are all actually our native boulders found locally here.
Fantastic. What's next?
Well, we've got a beautiful specimen red Japanese lace leaf maple that greets the guest here by the front entrance. And throughout here, you're going to see landscape lighting. We've got path lighting on both sides of the sidewalk. And then our specimen trees, we've got uplighting as well.
Now, Mark, we featured this home last year. Did not feature the front, but the back. And it's interesting because I can remember a little bit about what went on back there, and it does sort of tie in here, doesn't it?
It ties in beautifully, yes.
Yeah, I like this going on.
Well, thank you.
Describe it.
Another earth berm here held back by large boulders. And again, specimen plantings here. This is one of my personal favorites. It's a very rare and unusual pine. It's called an Uncle Fogey weeping pine.
Uncle Fogey weeping pine.
Yes, and it's just such a cool pine. And each one is very unique and different, and this is more of a ground cover type of pine. It just creates a nice wow here, and eventually those branches are going to cascade over this boulder retaining wall.
Uncle Fogey weeping pine.
You got it.
Wow. So when it gets older, it's an old fogey, right?
Exactly.
You got some acres over here to talk about.
Yes, we do. So on this end of the house, there was an addition, and this is part of the master bedroom. And because of the street, the cul-de-sac out here, we wanted a nice buffer and privacy. There's some outdoor living areas, and so we've got the hemlocks here. And we've gone from different light conditions. We've got full sun here. We've got rather shaded conditions from this maple tree. And so our plant selection, these are plants that are going to do well in the shaded conditions. And of course, these are plants that do well in full sun. The maple tree is actually the only thing that we kept and repurposed, and we chose to take the bed all the way around the maple tree.
That's worth doing for that maple, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's a hardwood maple, grows very slowly, puts on a beautiful show of color in the fall. You get a lot of reds, yellow, and orange.
Well, Mark, the cool thing about what we're seeing here today, and the cool thing for the viewers at home, is the fact that, you know, we're still early in the season, aren't we? And there's still plenty of time to connect with Linton's about doing a design such as this.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, all kinds of great ideas for you here on the program. Hope you can implement them into your landscaping. Again, formal into rustic. How you pulled it off, I'll never figure that out, but kudos, man.
Well, thank you. It was a very fun project, and I'd like to thank the homeowners here for allowing us to feature this beautiful home and landscape on our show.
Yes, very nice. Well, much more coming up on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.